everyone. Dr. Adriana Popescu here with you with another episode of Triumphing Over Trauma, my inspirational video series. And I'm really excited to have someone I know quite well as my guest today. This is Vinicius Gonçalves Resende. I probably butchered it. Vinicius is a marketing professional working in the therapy and human development field for the past 8 years. With time, his interest started moving toward understanding more of the human psyche and spirit, which led him toward spiritism, shamanism, and ayahuasca that are deeply connected to his ancestral and country roots. He started his studies with plant medicine and shamanism in 2022 alongside his family after the discovery of his mother's cancer that played a huge role in the development of his connection with spirituality, worldview, and the work he's doing today with clients in Brazil. Welcome, Vinny.
Hello, Adriana. Thank you for having me. I'm really happy.
Yes. Vinny actually works with me on my team, and I had the great privilege of actually seeing him in person. We've been working remotely all these years, seeing him in person in Brazil about a year and a half ago. And he has supported me in many ways, including with his own journey. I feel like I've learned so much from you, Vinny. Tell us about your kind of spiritual journey here and the trauma that emerged related to that.
Yes, that started, my spiritual journey started in 2022, to be more like precise. I was doing a lot of energetic modalities before that, but 2022 was when we discovered my mother's cancer, and she started like learning more about shamanism and about ayahuasca until she simply decided to go in a 7-day retreat with Aya, stop taking her meds, and that opened a journey for healing for her and for the whole family. And I dove into that journey together with her and the whole family. And that opened up like my own path. First, a family path, then my own path. That started when I had a really intense experience with the medicine, ayahuasca, that opened up a lot of boxes, trauma boxes inside myself. And that literally changed how I see the world, how I will see spirituality, how I see everything that goes and connects and everything and beyond. Basically, it changed my life, to be honest. Not, and it was a really bad experience, but that
Yeah,
opened up. That opened up for a lot of good things and for a lot of character development. Let's say like that in my own life.
I
And
would.
since sorry,
Oh, so go ahead. Yeah.
no, since that started, that's how I would say that my own adventure started, apart from the family adventure, let's say like that.
So I wanted to ask you specifically about what you mean, because I think so many people are curious about psychedelic, therapy or psychedelic experiences. Especially here in America, people have a lot of curiosity. A lot of people have been experimenting. Um, and I don't think people always go into this knowing the risks. And by risks, I mean what the medicine might open up for you, what it might show you that maybe you're not fully prepared for. So when you say that you had a bad experience, can you give us some sense of what did that feel like? What did it look like? What happened for you? It wasn't just at the time that it happened, it was the aftermath as well, right? Can you
Yeah,
give us a little more information about that?
exactly. Ayahuasca works in a different way than other medicines. It's guided by a spirit plant, and that spirit works with the person that's conducting and guiding the ceremony. So it usually emerges when you're in a ceremony a lot of different inside contents, stuff that you've been dealing or not dealing in your life, in your daily life, in your waking life outside of the ceremony. And it brings that up for you to look at and heal it inside the ceremony. When the ceremony is not held correctly, there is a chance that you might end up in a place where you don't know where you are or what you're dealing with trauma wise or spirit realm wise. But let's skip it to trauma because that's the topic here. So you're looking at basically to a place inside your psyche that you never dealt with, that you don't know what that is, that you don't know what that feeling is, or what type of like um let's say in a funny way, what type of animals are inside that little door that you opened, and it might be hard for you to deal with if you open that door like with too much force or without proper guidance. That can happen in a ceremony. That can happen when you're like taking macro dosing of mushrooms, as well as we were talking before the recording. And to deal with it, you need guidance. And when you don't have proper guidance, stuff bad stuff can happen. And when I say bad, it's not that you're going to like hurt yourself, that you're going to have to deal with a lot of content that you're not being able to look your whole life all at once, and that's not pleasant at all. And there is like spiritual consequences of that. So that's basically what happened to me. I went into a ceremony unprepared, and the person that was held in the ceremony didn't know about like what I was dealing with and what type of fields I was accessing and what I was dealing with. And in a choice, I say that it was choice because I chose to drink the second dose, even though I was perceiving that I shouldn't. And when I chose that, that basically opened up a door inside myself that basically fractured a lot of parts of myself, and I had to like basically put them together, and that took me almost a year to get where I am right now, more than a year, so that I could like feel like a whole person again, or like myself again. And I'm saying that, and it might sound huge when I'm saying that, but the process that I went through since I started that journey after that day was basically a healing process and a rediscovery of myself, how I was, who I was, especially, and what did I like, what did I didn't like, what stuff that I wanted to do and what stuff that I didn't want to do. Because the medicine basically showed me that I wasn't being myself up to that point, and that was a lot of stuff that I had to correct spiritually and trauma wise, life wise, in my day to day. And it was an amazing journey, to be really honest, but a scary journey because I basically learned to be an energy worker, let's say like that, by myself after that experience. I had like my own trainings, courses, stuff that I read, stuff that I did, but everything that I learned and that I know actually now, it's thanks to that day. It's thanks to, it's sorry, the English is vanishing here, but it's because I had that experience and all the journey that I had since that happened, that I know what to do today, energy wise, spirituality wise, trauma wise, because the experience itself traumatized me, let's say like this, but the de-traumatization, like the result of it wasn't trauma, was healing, and that's how I've been seeing my own journey after that day.
What were some of the things, or what are, because I feel like you're still, unfolding from all of this and integrating and working through your experience. What were some of the specific things that assisted you after that journey to get to where you are today?
Especially dream work. I started to pay attention a lot to my dreams because I was having a lot of different dreams and they were showing me different stuff, and I started applying what I learned in those dreams. So a dream that's telling me to go and swim, spend time swimming, I went there and did like a month of like swim classes. A dream that's teaching me like how to deal when I'm going through a harsh moment, like basically be more happy, try to be more happy, raise your vibration. And I was learning all like, let's say, like psychic stuff and about the psyche itself on my dreams when I was sleeping, and I was taking notes about all the dreams. I basically have a huge collection of dreams since that happened. And I learned a lot of spiritual work in the dreams as well. So I did a lot of different stuff dreaming. And that was basically my whole journey between worlds while I was asleep and healing myself and like meeting different parts of myself and closing the fractured parts of myself, things that got fractured inside me. And after that, I started doing body based modalities. So massages did play a good role in that. Um, I don't know if that's called havening. I think it is. But like when you take care of your body, use body based modalities, like put limits to it, tell your body that it has like limits when something intense started to show up. I started doing more like yoga, qigong, which is an energy body based modality that helps a lot of moving energy inside yourself. And basically, like taking care of my body became a little bit more of a priority than other stuff, and that really helped me come back to it, because being a little fractured during some time, it kind of like pushes you out of my pushed me out of my body. So I had to like kind of reinstall myself in it. And that's happened when I was sleeping, doing dreams, and with body-based modalities, especially the ones I just cited, quoted.
I think that part of what I would call, and we've talked about this on the podcast that I do, Kaleidoscope of Possibilities. Um, I think what you're describing really is a spiritual awakening process, or sometimes they call it spiritual emergence. Um, and often that can turn into more of a spiritual emergency when the experience that you have, and this might be, a psychedelic experience, it might be a kundalini awakening, it can show up, and some people have a near death experience that triggers it, but something triggers this, opening that you're completely unprepared for, that you don't know how to proceed with. And unfortunately, I think in the Western psychiatric model, that kind of thing, people might have trouble sleeping, they can't think straight, maybe they're hearing or seeing visions, and they're called, by the establishment, they're called hallucinations, they're called
Yeah.
pathology, this person is psychotic. And so then maybe they're gonna, put them in the hospital, give them all this medicine, to try to numb those sensations. And unfortunately, a lot of people, I think, have ended up with those being traumatic themselves. um, but you live in a country where there are other approaches, and I just wonder if as you were going through all of this, did your friends, I know your family is involved in this work as well, but did people understand what you were going through, or did they just think you were crazy?
Thank you for asking that. It was a really cool question. I love it. And thank you. Yeah, I love it. Really love it. And really important question. Because if I were in another country and I was probably wouldn't have been treated the way I was here. And it would have been way more difficult to see myself as a sane and healthy person than it was, because I'm in Brazil and here we have a lot of ways of seeing it and frameworks that can help you heal when you're dealing with that type of situation. I definitely went through a spiritual emergence and definitely went through a spiritual awakening at the same time. The emergence happened when I wasn't being able to like control my thoughts, as you said, control my emotions, especially, and not know what was going on with me. Right after I went through that experience, I had some days that I was like that. I wasn't understanding what was going on with my body. Was panicking sometimes because it felt like I was dying. I had symptoms that were like really intense. And technically, I could have go to a no, I could have been labeled like as like crazy or schizophrenic or something like this. But I wasn't. I didn't had any meds, and it's been 1 year and a half. I dealt everything with my own capacities, with the support of my family. I work, and I have like crazy stories to share about a lot of different stuff, both spiritually, energetically, and beyond all that. And the crazy stories are basically like healing stories. I'm not saying crazy as in insane, but I'm saying crazy as in really different from the way people see the model of society, see the model of like what spiritual awakening is. And I say that because it's hard to tell when you're inside the experience what's going on. But thankful to the all the knowledge that I had and everything that I went through before that experience, I knew how to deal with it. I knew after the emergence after, actually, I'm going to cut that. But basically, after the emergence happened, like after the emergency part happened, I was like, okay, I'm basically going to be a shaman 24/7 right now, because that's what I have to be and do to help myself. And that's what I did. That's how I like treated myself. I never looked myself as insane in any moment. And I made sure to like treat myself in a good way and be treated good, make sure that I was being treated well by my friends and everyone. It's not everyone that understands, as you said. My family is a really supportive one, and thanks to that, I had basically a platform to heal myself, let's say like this. Because in other families, I was going to be like either excluded or put in a psychiatric hospital, and I couldn't like have the proper like scenario or place for me to heal and to like integrate everything that came through and came after the experience.
Right. So, if someone is watching this and relating to your experience, and maybe it was a psychedelic experience they had or some other experience that feels equally frightening and traumatizing, what would you suggest to them? What words or advice would you give them?
Yeah, the first thing that I would say is like, you're not crazy. And sometimes you say what's going on, and sometimes you say what's not going on. And you have to be like really careful, like between the words that you're using when you're looking at yourself. Because when your conscious is more open, let me correct this. When you go through that experience, basically you're more sensible, and how you label yourself and how you view yourself becomes more true, let's say like this. So if you start labeling yourself as like crazy or schizophrenic, bipolar, or anything like this, that thing is going to stick, and it's going to be hard to take it out of there. So the first things first, say you're fine. This is just an experience. Make sure that you know that your body is safe. That's the first part of it. There is like, I really like this type of like grabbing that like is going that grounds me, closes my field if I'm talking about spirituality and spiritual stuff. It helps you like know that you can handle yourself. I usually use this, and it helps me like come back to my senses when things starting to go like sideways. That would be the first things first. Take care of your body, make sure you're safe, and remember yourself that you have limits, like boards, just like countries have like boundaries. Remember, like, this is my boundary, my body has boundaries. Like, take care of yourself like this, touch yourself. And the second thing is like, feel if you're like too out there, if you're too woo woo, too out there, if you feel like outside of your body or like way beyond like dimensions, like do grounding stuff. If you feel that you're not that much like going through different dimensions, like say like this, you can meditate and literally look at your body while you're meditating, feel it, perceive it, and ask for guidance from your own internal guidance, your own medicine, let's say like this. Because it's that medicine that's going to like come out of those experiences. So you have to know and be sure that what you're going through, like, you're going to get out of it, and you're going to get something, quote unquote, out of it. And that something is your own medicine, your own way of treating yourself, treating others, helping others. And when I say treating, it's literally like as in treatment, because that's really important. And when you look at yourself and take care of yourself like that, it's more easy for you to not put yourself in danger. And when I say danger, I don't say outside of yourself, inside
Mhm.
of yourself, because it becomes like a dangerous territory depending on the situation that you're in. So I had to be cautious with myself, with the words that I was thinking, with the type of stuff that I was consuming, who I was getting close to and who I wasn't getting close to, so that I could like ground myself and feel like myself and recover myself. During the initial phases of the spiritual emergence, spiritual awakening, I was really sensible. So I was literally like having to held myself in different ways and like balance when I was going out of house, when I wasn't going out of house, who I was getting close to or not. And
Yeah.
after all that started to pass, I started to go to dreams because that was the first door that opened up for me. And it was inside the dreams, let's say it like this, that I casually started to heal myself.
What an incredibly profound experience. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Vinny. And I'm so grateful that you had the support of people who understood, and you didn't end up in the hospital, or doped up with meds. That doesn't do anything. It doesn't get you through the process. The only way through a spiritual awakening process is to keep going, right? Keep going through it until you come out the other side. So I really appreciate your willingness to and your courage to come on a public platform like this and share your story. I hope that people have found value in it. I also think it's important for people to know that there is support out there for experiences like this. Um, Both within the sort of traditional healing modalities, like you referenced shamanism, or in Brazil and in other places around the world. There's the spiritism, and there are trained mediums and people who can work with folks who are having a spiritual emergence slash emergency experience. And increasingly, we have more mental health trained folks like myself. We've talked about previously on the podcast about some of those resources. Spiritual Awakenings International is an organization that where people who have had similar experiences can gather. IMHU, Emma Bragdon's organization, Integrative Mental Health University. She offers a lot of education and courses and training for people like myself to learn more about how we can support folks going through experiences like what you have. So the resources are out there. Spiritual Emergence Network as well. Lots of different possibilities, so that you don't have to go through it alone. I think that's the main thing, is just for people to understand. Even if you don't fully understand what's going on, there are people out there who do and who can support you through this process.
Exactly. There are people that are out there that can help you.
Thank you so much, Vinny, for being on this episode today. And for those of you watching, if you have found this material helpful, or if you know someone who might find this material helpful, please do pass this along, subscribe to the channel, share on your socials, like help us get this information out there. We're living in very intense times. My sense is more and more people are going to be having experiences like what Vinny described. And we want people to know that support and resources are out there for them. And that there's also hope. This is an inspirational video series, and we want people to have hope that even though you might go through scary, painful types of experiences, you can triumph over your trauma and come out the other side of it. So thank you, Vinny. Thank you, everyone, for watching.